Imagine you are wearing the most advanced virtual reality headset ever created. It doesn't just cover your eyes and ears, it interfaces directly with your brain, feeding you a complete sensory world. You feel the warmth of a digital sun, the texture of virtual grass under your feet, the joy and sorrow of relationships with people who are nothing but sophisticated code. Your brain knows, on some deep forgotten level, that you are sitting in a chair in a quiet room. But your body reacts with real fear when a virtual cliff appears. Your heart aches with real loss when a digital friend departs. The world within the headset is not the base reality, but is your experience of it any less real? Now, let's ask a much more profound question. What if you were born with the headset on? In our previous explorations, we journeyed through the three familiar states of consciousness: waking, dreaming, and deep, dreamless sleep. We saw them as shifting landscapes of the mind, and we pointed towards a fourth, unchanging state, the silent witness behind them all, called Turiya. This raises a fundamental challenge. If that silent, undivided awareness is the ultimate truth of our being, then what is this? This vibrant, chaotic, beautiful, and often painful world of our waking experience. Why does it feel so utterly and absolutely real? The answer that the great sages of Vedanta offer is a single, powerful, and deeply misunderstood word: Maya. This is where we must be very careful. When we hear that the world is Maya, our minds often jump to the conclusion that it is an illusion, that it's fake, a fiction we must simply dismiss. But the philosophy of Advaita, especially as articulated in the masterpiece Vivekachudamani, presents a far more subtle and powerful truth. Maya is not a simple error of perception. It is described as the very power of the ultimate reality, the creative force of the Absolute. It is the inexplicable principle that makes the one, unchanging consciousness appear as the multiplicity of the universe. To say the world is Maya is not to say it is non-existent. It is to say that it is not what it appears to be. It is a shadow, but a shadow cast by something real. The ancient texts struggle to even define it with language, because language itself is a product of Maya. The Vivekachudamani describes it in a fascinating way, using a series of profound negations. It says Maya is neither existent nor non-existent, nor a combination of both. It is not different from the ultimate reality, nor is it non-different. It's not made of parts, nor is it without parts. The text concludes that it is most wonderful and of an indescribable nature. This isn't a philosophical cop-out. It's an honest admission that we are trying to use the tools of a simulated world to describe the engine running the simulation. We are using the logic of the dream to explain the dreamer. Maya defies our binary, A or B logic, because it is the very thing that creates the duality of A and B in the first place. So how does this indescribable power operate? The Vivekachudamani gives us a brilliant mechanical breakdown, explaining that Maya functions through a twofold process. It possesses two fundamental powers. The first is called the Avarana Sekti, the power of veiling or concealment. Think of it as a cosmic fog that rolls in and obscures our vision of the true reality. The sun is always shining, but on a cloudy day, we don't see it. The clouds don't negate the sun's existence, they simply hide it from our view. In the same way, this veiling power makes us forget our true nature as infinite, undivided consciousness. It cloaks the absolute. Once the truth is hidden, the second power gets to work. This is the Viksepasakti, the power of projection. Onto this veiled, obscured reality, the mind projects the entire universe of names and forms. It projects our ego, our body, our thoughts, our emotions, and the entire world of objects and others. This is the dynamic, creative, cinematic aspect of Maya. Avarana hides the screen, and Viksepa plays the movie. The classic analogy used to explain this is the rope and the snake. Imagine you're walking down a dimly lit path at dusk. You see something coiled on the ground. The dim light, the avarana, prevents you from seeing that it is a rope. Your mind, conditioned by fear, then performs the act of Viksepa. It projects the form, the qualities, and the terrifying potential of a snake onto that indistinct shape. At that moment, for you, the snake is terrifyingly real. Your heart races, adrenaline floods your system, you scream. The snake is not non-existent. It certainly exists in your mind and is causing real physiological effects, but nor is it independently real. Its appearance depends entirely on the rope. The snake is a projection. The rope is the substrate. Maya works exactly like this. It veils the ultimate reality, the rope of Brahman, and projects the world of experience, the snake, onto it. The goal of wisdom, or jnana, is not to attack the snake or run from it or pretend it isn't there. Actions performed in relation to the snake only reinforce its reality. The only solution is to bring a light. The moment the light of inquiry, of discrimination, falls on the object, you see the rope as the rope, and in that very instant, the snake simply vanishes. It doesn't run away. It was never there to begin with. Its reality was purely provisional. This brings us back to our modern analogy of virtual reality. The headset's function is precisely that of Avarana, veiling your living room from your senses. The game's software is Viksepa, projecting a digital world. Your brain is conditioned to believe whatever your senses report, and so it generates real fear, real excitement, real vertigo. Our biological apparatus, our senses, our nervous system, our cognitive biases, functions as a kind of organic VR system. Our minds don't passively receive reality, they actively construct it. Modern cognitive psychology observes this on a smaller scale. Confirmation bias is a perfect example of personal Maya. Our mind veils contradictory information, avarana, and projects a worldview that confirms our existing beliefs, Viksepa. The algorithm-driven echo chambers of social media are a technological manifestation of this ancient principle, a system designed to keep us engaged with the projection we find most comfortable. This understanding allows us to appreciate that reality isn't a simple on or off switch. Advaita Vedanta proposes three distinct orders of reality. There is the subjective, fleeting reality of the dream world, which feels completely real while you are in it. This is called pratibhasika satya. Then there is this shared, transactional reality of our waking world, governed by consistent physical laws. This is the vyavaharika satya, the world of business, science, relationships, and daily life. It is the world of the snake, or the VR game, internally consistent and experientially valid. But the sages urge us not to stop here. They point towards the paramartika satya, the absolute, ultimate reality, which is Brahman alone, the rope, the person in the chair outside the VR game. The purpose of this entire philosophical inquiry is to gently shake our conviction that this waking world is the final, absolute reality, and to encourage a quest for the reality upon which it is projected. There is a beautiful story that illustrates this. A powerful king, bored with his opulence, summoned the greatest magician in the land. "Create for me an experience so real," he commanded, "that I completely forget I am a king watching a performance." The magician bowed. He didn't just project images, He wove a deep spell around the king's consciousness. Instantly, the king found himself not on a throne, but as a poor potter in a dusty village. He had no memory of being a king, no memory of the magician. His entire world was the feel of wet clay, the heat of the kiln, the anxiety of selling his wares, the simple joy of his family, the gnawing pain of hunger. He lived this life for 50 years. He was born, he struggled, he loved, he aged. This was his solid transactional reality. One evening, as a frail old man, sitting by the river, a strange thought flickered in his mind. Wasn't I someone else before this? The moment that spark of self-inquiry arose, the magician, who had been watching all along, began to withdraw the spell. The village dissolved. The potter's body faded, and the 50 years of dense experience compressed into a single fleeting moment. The king blinked. He was back on his throne, his royal robes pristine. The magician stood before him. Only a few minutes had passed in the palace. The king was profoundly shaken. "The potter's life," he whispered, "the joy, the suffering, it was all so real." The magician replied, "Your Majesty, that is my art. I did not create a lie. I simply veiled your memory and used your own consciousness to project a new form. The potter was you, but you are infinitely more than the potter. The world I created was a shadow, but the consciousness that experienced it, that was and always is the reality. We are that king, the infinite self, Brahman, who has forgotten our royalty and the spellbinding role of the individual person. Maya is the magician, and spiritual practice is that first moment of self-inquiry that begins to break the spell. The great Tamil saints and poets knew this struggle intimately. The poet Saint Tayumanavar cries out, questioning where this deceitful mind that says, "I" will stand, once he realizes everything is the play of the divine. That I thought, the ego, is the primary projection, the firstborn child of Maya, from which all other separations arise. Patanathar relentlessly reminds us of the provisional nature of this world, famously stating that even a needle without its thread will not accompany you on your final journey, a stark dismissal of the value we project onto worldly things. The beautiful Tamil metaphor for Maya is Kainal Neer, the desert mirage. A mirage is not nothing. It's a real phenomenon of light refraction. But the water we perceive is a projection. The world is not nothing. It is a real appearance of Brahman. The mistake is to chase the projected water to quench our thirst, instead of understanding the nature of the light that creates the projection. As the timeless Thirukkural advises, wisdom is to discern the true substance within every single thing, whatever its outward appearance may be. But what is the point of all this? Is it to become cold and indifferent, dismissing the world as a mere dream? Absolutely not. In fact, understanding Maya is the ultimate foundation for true and unshakable compassion. If the feeling of being a separate I is the primary illusion, then the idea of a separate other is its direct and most dangerous consequence. All forms of division, racism, nationalism, casteism, religious bigotry, are built on the ferocious belief in the absolute reality of us versus them. Seeing through Maya reveals this for the profound illusion it is. You begin to see that when you harm another, you are merely one part of the projection deludedly attacking another part. It's the left hand, caught in the dream, believing the right hand is its enemy. With this insight, empathy is no longer just a good moral choice. It becomes a recognition of reality. To see another's suffering is to see your own self, struggling behind a different veil of conditioning and circumstance. Compassion, karuna, becomes the most logical and authentic expression of your being. True, lasting social change is born from this understanding. It doesn't come from just rearranging the furniture in the dream world, but from working to awaken everyone to the truth of our shared existence. It is to act in the world with a deep and abiding love, a love born not from sentiment, but from the unshakable recognition of oneness. This is the ultimate cause, to move beyond the shadow, not by destroying it, but by turning to face the light that casts it. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of reality. If these ideas resonate with you and you wish to continue this exploration, please consider subscribing to I Have a Cause. For our viewers who are more comfortable with Tamil, a full Tamil version of this episode is also available on the channel. Your presence here is deeply appreciated. Be well.